Hello, crafty friends. We are going to have a great class today. We had a rough one last week, and as you know, I took that video down. But today we are on top of the world. We got it well organized, well detailed. I have all kinds of little hacks to make this project easier for you. And we are going to be in great shape. It's going to take us a while to do everything, so I'm not going to fool around a lot. I'm going to get right into things. But first, let's say hello to people who are here. Hi, Annette and Mary, Irene. I saw Betty G there. Sharma, good to see you. Thelma. Yeah, there's Betty G. And it looks like that's who's here right at the beginning here. I'm sure we will have many others drop in to see us, but wait till you see what I have for you today. Let me get into my notes on my phone here because I have a few notes just to get us started. Let's go ahead and move your camera view down. Here's a picture of the finished calendar from the back side. Here's a picture from the front side. Side. And that's all we're going to use this for today. All right. You will see that I have lots of little stacks. I have taken the opportunity to get everything ready so that we can kind of sail right through here today. But I don't want to just start with everything ready without telling you exactly what I've done and why. So let's get going on that. The first thing I want to tell you is that in the Flower Market kit, there are 2 of each print. There's the elements. This is one of the elements that are for cutting out. And there are the florals that are for the floral pieces. There's 2 of each. The elements are on the back of the florals. The most important thing I have to tell you about this project, and I hope you're listening because this is really, 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 really important. My number one most important thing for success in this kit is separate those 2 by an arm's distance. Sort out all your January through December pages. Never cut your elements from the floral pieces and never cut your floral pieces from the elements. This is truly important. The number one most important thing I have to tell you about building this kit. If you mix and match, you will not have enough paper to finish this kit. My second most important thing to share with you is don't cut the elements from the floral sheets and don't cut the florals from the element sheet. Sound like you've heard that before? That's because it's so important. It's number 1, 2, and 3 on my most important list.
But I thought you said the elements were on the back of the floral sheets.
They are.
How do you not cut those?
You're going to cut out the elements only using that side as your guide. Don't flip it over and use a piece of the floral. And the floral sheet, you will only have enough to get the measurements you need if you use it only for the floral side. Okay? So do not flip your paper over and mix and match. That's my most important advice to you. Is that clear as mud, guys? Make sure you tell me it's clear as mud because that is really, really important. I guess I'll call it number 2, most important. The Heartfelt Creations, the Graphic 45 site has a cutting guide available for this kit. Do not use the cutting guide. Do not. Yes, Mary. Yes, Annette. Okay. Yes, that's exactly right. Okay, perfect. Don't use the cutting guide, guys. Last week, I used the cutting guide. Yes, exactly right, Mary. Exactly right. the cutting guide will get you in trouble. I'll tell you why. When using the cutting guide, it doesn't have the orientation of the page that you need. So you can be cutting up your flower paper thinking you're doing great, and then you go to put it on your calendar and your flowers are all sideways. It does not have the orientation that you need. And if you cut up all those papers in advance and just have them sitting there without a strong organizational system, it will overwhelm you the amount of paper that you have. I actually have cut things up, but I did not use the cutting guide. I went page by page. So I'm going to talk to you about how to do that. Yes, they do not cite the orientation that you're going to use when you cut those out. It just says cut a 5x7, cut a 6 3/8 by 7, cut this, cut that. And if without knowing the orientation of the paper, you're going to be really disappointed in your results. So do not use the cutting guide. Okay. When the next most important thing is that when you're cutting your florals, there's a real temptation for those of us who are paper crafters to cut our piece and just slice down the page. I only want you to make your cuts to cut out just how much you actually need. Don't cut clear through side to side on your paper when you're making your cuts. Just make partial cuts to take out exactly what you need. That's another thing that can get you in trouble, is that if you're cutting clear through your paper, you may not have, one piece is 7 inches and the next one is 7.5 inches. So you've cut off that extra half inch already when you slice clear through your paper. So cut out only what you actually need. Okay. Organize as you go and pay attention to the direction of the paper as you're making your cuts. All of the 7 and the 7.5 inch cuts are widthwise. Okay? All of those represent the width of the pages. The other measurements are going to be your height measurements. That will help keep you straight when you go to cut all these papers. Exactly, Mary R. Hi, Glenn. So the 7s and the 7.5s are your width. Keep all your scraps when you're making your cuts. This is going to sound weird, but keep all your scraps on your floral sheet when you're making your cuts, just in case you have to piece something back together. With our very best of intentions, we can still easily mess one up. And if that happens, you can simply put a piece of paper back on there if you've kept all those scraps. So keep all your scraps in case there's an error. As we go, you will see that I actually have quite a few of, not quite a few, I think I have 2, maybe, pages that I have pieced back together.
Voice of experience.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when it comes to the element sheets, this sheet, the sheet that has all of your little pretties on it, when it comes to the element sheets, you will be tempted to just cut out all the elements, but don't. Don't cut all your elements first. Let me tell you why. Because some of the pages that we're going to use will have used the element sheets differently. Let me show you an example. In the month of January, we cut the calendar like this. If you have already cut out the January, you're going to have a hard time piecing that back to be just right. So don't cut all your elements until you're ready for them, okay? You can still go through the instruction sheet and cut your papers, which I've already done because I wanted to make this as quick and easy for you guys as possible. I've already prepared packets for all of my months, but don't just cut all the elements out. There's another example of one that we're going to be using, and that is that in a couple of our months, we're going to be using, here we go, in June, we're actually going to be using the two stamps side by side as a pocket that our calendar sits into. If we've already cut out all our elements, we don't have these two joined together to create that pocket. So don't just, you'll be tempted to cut all your elements first. I thought about that. Got off on the wrong page. Where's my notes now? Okay. Where's my notes? Okay. As you cut out your elements, this is going to sound really weird, but as you cut, I recommend that you clip all your remaining pieces together. So that you'll have something that will tell you what month it is that these pieces are for. These flowers, can you go through the instruction sheet and cut the elements you need as you go? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, all I did here, Mary, is that I went through each month and each step of the instructions, and I prepared my sheets so that for each step along the line, I have everything I know I need already cut out, and I don't have to do that as we go. But as you're cutting out your elements, keep all your pieces clipped together. I just used a little paper clip to keep everything together. That way you're not going to spend all your valuable crafting time searching through tons of pieces looking for the piece you want. You can still just go right to the month it's on and take it out. So I recommend clipping your elements all together as you're working until you get to the very end. Okay. I said that I created clipped packets for my calendar pages. So here's my January, and I actually put these in order depending on how they were used. I'll probably put them back in month order, but here's November. I've taken everything I need to complete that page, and I have it all clipped together. All I'm doing here is just shortcutting the process. You guys won't have to watch me flip from page to page and go cut out all of these elements. I already have everything I need to put these pages together, which is going to make our assembly on camera way faster. Way faster. So I'm going to put those back in order, but I have my calendar pages all ready to go. I have created my pocket pages and my pocket page decorations. I have those all ready to go. These are the tags that are going to go in the middle of my pocket pages. These are the fronts of my pocket pages. These are the backs of my pocket pages. Look here. See that? That's where I've pieced one of my papers back together. I knew there was a couple of them in here that we've done that with. And because I've just taped them from the back. I may I don't know. I may put Scotch tape over that, but I haven't decided yet. But this is going to be this is going to be just fine once I put these all together in their proper order. And these are all the decorations that go with those. And even these are clipped together in order. So I've got my January ones. Then I've got my February ones. I used my Post-it tape to create little packets for each month for my pocket pages also. And then I have created packets for my December, because the December calendar is done differently. I have all my December pieces here, and I have all of my cover pieces here, each one created in a little packet. I also have my chipboard. I knew I was forgetting something. I need my strapping tape off the other table too, please, hon. I created my chipboard pieces, and that's all put together here. This is everything that has to do with the A-frame itself. The front of the A-frame, the back of the A-frame, and everything I need to put the A-frame together, I have clipped and put together. You'll notice as we go through that I have marked on my chipboard what sizes it is. Thank you. I've marked on my chipboard what sizes it is. And so I'm not going to need this for a while. I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm not going to need my pocket pages for a while. I am going to need my chipboard sheets for my calendar. We'll start with those. Let me just hit just a couple other points here. These are some things that you're cutting out of chipboard. This one is well defined in the instructions, cutting this piece out. You use this as a punch aid for your calendar, or excuse me, for your 7.5-inch pieces. This one is only spoken of just quickly in the instructions, but we're going to create ourselves a template for punching our calendar pages and anything that's 7 inches wide. We'll talk more about these when we get to that point. Okay. I chose, let me just talk more about those things when I get there. I think we've talked enough. Let's, would you get me some more? Remember that brown twine I had you get the other day? Would you get me a little more of that? I need. Oh, get me a yard or so of it. Okay. All right. So let's get going here. I have all of my pieces ready to go. I'm going to put these months back in order. One reason I set them this way is because these are using similar treatments, but it doesn't. You will have, every month has more than one month that uses the same technique for putting these together. Okay, May, September, July. Thank you. Have some either ribbon, 1/4-inch ribbon, or smaller, or some twine available. You can kind of use whatever you want. If you want it to be a little shiny, or twine it, or satin ribbon's good. If you don't care about having it be shiny, you want it to have a little bit more organic feel, then twine is fine. Okay, I have my calendar pages in order, and it's time to take off and start putting these together. So I have the first of my chipboards, and I'm going to go ahead. I've already pre-cut these to size, so I may have a little bit of trim work here or there. I need a pin. There's a pin. Haven't used my big glue bottle for a day or two. Okay. We're going to position this so that the calendar fits along the bottom of the page.
Chipboard measures again were 7 by.
You're going to prepare to make your calendars by cutting 6 pieces of chipboard that are 7 inches by 6 inches. And then when we go to put our elements on our chipboard, 7 inches is the width. So when you cut your January piece out of your element sheet, you'll cut this to be 7, go clear to the bottom, measure up. This is going to be 7 by 4 3/4. You will go to your floral sheet and you will cut a piece that is 1 1/4 inches
by 7.
By 7. And January is really an easy month to complete, I tell you. I'm going to lift. I have just a little extra room on my floral, so I'm going to lift the edge of my calendar just a tad. And I'm going to slide this border piece down under that. There we go. It's good to have a bone folder handy while you're working on this. In fact, let me tell you some of the other tools to have handy when you're working on this. You're going to want a paper punch, or I happen to be using a crocodile because I had one available to use. It'll make it a little easier on your hands punching through the chipboard. If you don't have a crocodile, you can do this with a regular. You can do this with a regular paper punch. It just takes a little bit more gumption when you're doing it. So I have my calendar and the outline, the other elements off of my element sheet. I have a little border off of my floral sheet. I have this butterfly out of my ephemera pack. This is the one that's yellow with a little bit of red on it. I'm just taking my bone folder to give my butterfly just a little bit of dimension. You see me do this with stuff all the time. So I'm going to kind of bend it a little bit on both sides of the thorax. And I'm going to give my butterfly just a little dimension in her wings. And January is done. Just like that. Pretty. Okay, we're going to set January aside because the back of January is the front of the calendar. So we will come back to January later. We're going to get our second piece of chipboard and we're going to do February. For February, I have cut a sheet of piece of that beautiful floral paper. Look here on the back. Pieced together. There's my Scotch tape. I want to make sure that nothing that I slide in or out here can kind of lift that paper tape. I'm putting a little piece of Scotch tape over the seam there too. But you can't tell at all. Look at this paper. Come in really close, honey. As long as I match it right back up with where it's been cut from, go clear the bottom. You can't tell unless you're really looking for it, where I piece that 1/2 inch piece back to the bottom. See that? That's where we're keeping all our scraps. Okay. This will, after you have all of your papers really well organized, it will be useful to have your instruction sheet ready and available for use. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue this one down just to see the orientation of the pieces, how things are actually going on there. I'm going to go ahead and put my February calendar piece going clear to the top. That looks great. I'm going to add this little 1/2 inch border to the bottom. Now, you will have, I found this when I did this the first time too, that even though I used the page sizes that they said, occasionally maybe my chipboard is cut just a little big or my paper is just a little, a fraction of an inch smaller. So when I was done with everything, I saved all my leftover pieces in case I decided that I wanted an extra little border here or there. And I set them out. This one is coming up like 1/8 of an inch off. Why? I don't know. But all I'm going to do is put an extra little border on it. So I'm going to drop this down just a little, and I'm going to put borders on the bottom and the top, even though it only calls for borders on the bottom. I'm going to kind of center this. Here's the border I prepared for this. And now it's going to go on the bottom. I think I'll tuck it under. It took me about, I'm going to say probably closer to 3 hours to pre-cut all of my pieces. Just read the instructions and pre-cut everything to be a perfect fit for this. Just FYI. It was already 7 inches. Use this. Because we are working on both sides of the paper, or both sides of the chipboard, and both sides will show, you're going to want to pay a lot of attention to making sure that you have the same top, that one's not upside down. That looks pretty. I like that. Okay, next I'm going to take my February calendar, which has been cut out right around the calendar edges, and I'm going to put glue on 3 sides of it. Just 3 sides, the 2 long edges and the left side. And I'm going to set this just a little to the left of center. I'm going to use this tag off my element sheet, and I'm going to use this little tiny dot from my chipboard. I'm going to glue my little dot there as kind of a finger hole to pull that piece of chipboard out, and this piece of chipboard slides right into the side like so. And February is done. We're going to flip February over because next comes March. And for March, we have let's see, we've cut this to be 5 by 7 inches, that beautiful daffodil paper. For March, they want you to put the, oh, I've got a little trimming to do the other side. A little bit of hangover here and there from the other side. I'm gonna get rid of that real quick. Perfect. That looks good on both sides. I'm going to put March starting at the top, and I'm going to put this border piece at the bottom. I think I'll put the border piece down first, so if there's any extra, I can overlap just a little. This is the wide border from the bottom of the March page. You're just going to cut along the top of the pattern. Don't cut all those little scallopies, that will make you crazy. Just cut it along the edge of the scallopies like that. Okay? And then it's 7 inches long, of course. I'm going to put my March page down. That looks really pretty to have that little kind of dot that's created by the scallopy edge there. Then we're going to take our stamp elements, which have been left adjoined in the center. We're going to put glue on 3 sides of this, just at the bottom and a little at the 2 sides. We're going to bring this down onto that green border, and that becomes a pocket for our calendar. I just don't want to get my calendar stuck in the glue, so I'm putting it in very carefully because it's wet. But it's going to become a pocket for our calendar and the new beginnings tag. And our March page is done. So we've got January, February, March done. Let's get another piece of our chipboard out. We're going to do April. April is done the same way that January was. Oh, I missed it. Oh, there's a butterfly. There's 4 pieces in total for January. You have the calendar that's been cut to 4 3/4 by 7 inches. You have that extra little floral strip that's been cut, which I think I'll actually put down first so I can overlap. You need the butterfly out of your ephemera pack. This time we're using the blue with the red wings. I'm going to put my glue first on this strip and then put my calendar page over the top. And then you're going to want the bloom ephemera out of the ephemera pack. So I'm putting my... I will tell you that I went back after I was done cutting all the other pieces, and I cut these thin pieces last just to make sure that I had enough paper. So I cut these top strips last after I cut my largest strips first. So I cut all the paper for my calendars and all the paper for my pocket pages and then went back because I only needed 1¼ inches. I had my choice of places that I could take those from that would not shorten, that wouldn't leave me short on anything else. So I cut those little 1¼ inch pieces last. Okay. I'm going to use, this is kind of fun, I'm going to attach my butterfly in the shape, I'm leaving it flat this time, and I'm attaching it in the shape of an L up one wing and across the bottom, because I'm going to put this butterfly on my calendar. It's right at the bottom of my calendar, and I'm going to set this bloom tag in. The butterfly is actually holding it in place. The bloom will come off so you can see the calendar. Okay. All right. That's our April done. Let's go to May. See how fast this comes together when you have all your pieces already organized and ready to go. It's amazing. We took 1¾ hours last week to put the calendar pages together. And today we're going to have all the calendars done in just a few minutes. Okay, this is one that is going to attach, the floral goes to the top, the blue strip goes to the bottom. I'm going to put the blue strip down first. Once again, the blue strip comes off my elements page. The dimensions for each of these floral cuts are on your instruction sheet, but let me give them to you just because. This one's a little long. I'll turn that off. Okay. May is the month of the lily. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this over the top of the bottom strip there. This one was 5 inches wide. That's because I said earlier that you want to make sure, absolutely certain, that your things are going the same direction. I just felt the need to double check and make sure that my flowers are leaning the same way as my calendar is headed on the other side, and it is. Okay, this time I'm going to let my calendar, I'm going to create a calendar pocket again, but I'm going to leave the left side unglued. So I'm going to orient this just a little bit toward the right of center. I have my humility tag that's going to slide right into that pocket. And we can let it peek out a little. And then you have this really pretty lily piece on your ephemera page. I think I will, or excuse me, this is off our chipboard. I'm going to add a little piece of twine to this tag. Just a little one. I cut myself like a 4-inch piece. I'll hook this through, bring the tails back out the other way, and just leave just a little tag on there. This does have a pop out in the middle, so both pieces are going to have to be glued down. And I'm going to tip this just a little bit to the outside. There's our May page. We've got April and May. Okay. We're going to continue with our next piece of chipboard. We're going to get our packet here for June. And again, it might seem like I'm just resourcing along here, but if you have already gone through the instructions, cut and clipped what you need for each month, this is going to be very fast for you also. So please don't be overwhelmed that I'm going fast, because you can prepare these in advance, and I strongly suggest you do. June is my favorite of the flowers with the roses. It has a purple border at the bottom, the June flowers. This is cut to 5 by 7. I'm going to put my purple border down first, as I've been doing. I just like that to overlap a little bit. I think it looks pretty when it does. I know this piece is longer than I need. I didn't bother sometimes to cut them, since I knew I could just trim it right off at the edge. Trying not to get glue all over, but I'm doing a pretty good job of doing it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my June page down. I'm going to put my pretty floral at the top here. I'm going to trim off a tiny bit of extra I have here. That looks beautiful, doesn't it? Wow. Okay. I'm going to create a pocket from this 2 layers of our 2 stamps. I didn't cut the edge off this one. Okay, I'm going to bring those stamps down onto my purple. Kind of center it side to side. I left the top open for my calendar, the June calendar to go in, and my love tag. There's June. We're up to July. We're going to take our July piece, which has been cut from that full corner. It is 4 and let's just make sure we know. 4 3/4. Yes, 4 3/4 by 7. I'm going to glue this actually is the side that we're supposed to be using. I'm going to glue my floral border to the top. It looks great. I'm going to put my July right below that. That looks good. I'm going to make sure that I have the same sides up. Okay. I'm going to put my calendar right below. I actually have been really, really looking forward to bringing this to you since I finished all my prep work on this. I finished it on Wednesday, and yesterday I thought, oh darn, I have to. No, I finished it on, what day did I finish it? I worked on it on Tuesday. I don't know. Doesn't matter, huh? Thursday, yeah. I worked on Thursday, and then I was waiting. Okay, this one's fun, I think. We're going to add our lily so that it doesn't obstruct the calendar, but we're using this beautiful, gorgeous piece of ephemera. So we want to go to the left so that we're not blocking the calendar boxes, but we want to put this piece down. It's a beautiful piece of ephemera. Their die cutting is amazing. I get glue on all these little pieces so I know it will stay put nicely. And I want it to go fairly high, like to the bottom of the calendar. I'll have a couple of pieces sticking over the top, over the edge. I'll be trimming those. I have a tag here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut myself another roughly 4-inch piece of twine. And create myself a little tag. And then you're going to use this tag like it's a vase at the bottom, which I think is kind of cool. So I'm going to put this right over the bottom of the floral stem. It says lefter on it. I'm going to try not to obstruct too much of my view of the calendar. So I've got June and July pages done. Time for another piece of chipboard. And yeah, I guess that's right. Oops. Okay, we're going to do August. August is another one that pulls out from the side, so I'm going to make it the same way I did my last August. This piece of floral is 5 3/8 actually. I'm going to trim this. Now the last one of these that I did was just a little bit short, We'll see if this one's going to be a good match or if I need to get another border piece here. You will have border pieces left over, so I think I'm going to get another border piece. This particular one, this is a leftover. I just have all my leftovers sitting in a stack here so that I can pull what I want. I'm going to center my floral first. So you're seeing me add a couple extra pieces of trim on these ones that are using the thin border. There's not much you can do about that in advance. You could, I suppose, cut your floral just a tad bigger, but then you risk that you're not going to have enough for something else. So I think it's better just to use the leftovers than it is to increase the size of the floral. Okay, that looks good. I'll trim this up just a little bit. I wasn't as uniform in my trimming as I could have been. So I'm going to put borders at the bottom and the top. That looks good. I'll put this down here. That was a little long, so I didn't put glue clear to the end. A little hangover on the side too, so just make that go away at the same time. Okay. All right. I'm going to take this border and put it at the top. Actually looks quite pretty having them at the top and the bottom. I'm going to take my calendar. I'm going to center it a little to the left. And I'm only gluing 3 edges so I can create a pocket on the side of my calendar. Just a little to the left. I'm going to take this tag with the little chipboard button, put that right above the butterfly. It slides into my open edge here. And I'm going to take this beautiful poppy and we'll go a little higher on that, not to obscure our calendar boxes. Put glue on all these little edges coming out. And I'm going to go fairly high on this. And then run my stem down the side. So, and I'm kind of covering up one of the flowers to the side of August with my big piece there. We're done with August. It's on to September. We're going to take our September page, has that wide border. I'm going to put that down first. the September floral over the edge of that. Glue my floral all down. Okay. I'm going to trim around that just a little bit. I have that pretty floral. We're going to put in our September calendar. We're going to glue only 3 edges. We're leaving the left side open. We're going to tuck in our little wisdom tag. And September is finished. August, September. Okay. All right, October. We have 2 more months of these to do. I know you're saying, no, you have 3. No, I have 2 because December is going to be on the base of our calendar. Okay, so September, or excuse me, October. Yeah, October. We already did September. October is done with the floral at the top again, just like it was in January. Put this down. Beautiful. We'll bring our October calendar up and slightly over that, that piece. And we'll glue our calendar below that. Oh. Perfect. A tiny bit of trim work to do. That's good on the back. All right. This time, we're going to use this harmony tag as kind of a pocket. We're going to glue just the 2 ends of the harmony tag. We're going to come down onto, probably come right down to where you meet the line in our wide border. And we're going to put this joyful right through there. And it's just going to kind of live, so they say. Maybe I can tighten this a little bit. The joyful just lives right there in that little slide through created for October. Let's go to November. November's another one where we have the border on the bottom. So isn't this easy, guys? It's very easy if you have all your pieces prepped and organized and clipped. And you can see I didn't do anything fancy. I clipped them with paper clips. I can hear you. Okay. I'm going to clip those. Those glitter cards you guys are talking about are just fabulous. Okay. I love this one with the butterfly right in the middle. Unfortunately, we'll cover that up with the calendar, but it's still pretty. Okay. I'll line this up. I'm going to trim this up just a tad. Okay. I'm going to put my November calendar here. And what am I doing in November? November, they had it come out the other side. So I'm going to attach 3 sides, leaving November, or leaving the left side open. I will come a little to the left of center. I'm going to put this good luck tag. I think I will. I think I'm going to put some twine through the little ends of my chipboard tag here. It has room on both ends, so I'm going to put a couple little pieces of twine there. Myself a couple little 4-inch pieces.
Say hi to Diane.
Hi, Diane. Okay. You're more than welcome, Mary. I wasn't happy with the first video. It's not, I'm better than that. So I felt compelled to just do it all over. Okay. Get the other tag put on here. Okay. I'm going to put the good luck tag and just centered, really centered on the page rather than centered under the calendar, since I left the end of the calendar a little bit open. Or, since let me try that again. I'm going to center to the page rather than the calendar because I'm going to have the tag coming out the end of November, like so. I'm going to punch a little hole in my tag using my crocodile. I'm going to get another little piece of twine here for my tag. Well, what I want you to see is this project is perfectly doable. There's a few ground rules going in, and we'll cover those again because they really are important. There's a few ground rules to make sure that you have everything come out right. Organization is key on this project because there are so many pieces. And that's what I was lacking last week. That and a clear brain. A clear brain. I have a much clearer brain this week. I suppose that's a good thing. Okay, here's our November page. Our October page. Believe it or not, our calendar pages are now done. We're going to set those aside for now. They're beautiful. Okay. Next, we're going to work on our pocket pages. Now, when we talked last week, I didn't even know what the pocket pages were. I didn't understand that concept. Well, when you're looking at your calendar, you're looking at the calendar page, but on the other side of the easel, you have another page showing, and that's what's going to become the pocket page. You'll have a calendar and a pocket page for each month. So that's what that was about. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get these packets that I have prepared for our pocket pages. I'm going to set these aside for just a minute. These are going to be the inserts into our pocket pages. We won't need those for a little bit. So I'm going to set those aside for a minute. And our pocket pages each use 2 pieces of paper. Now, what do I put on the back of January? Go to my pocket page instructions. Okay. Okay. All right. So, this is confusing in the instructions, but let me explain to you what they're doing and why. You're cutting for your pocket pages from all of the odd numbered months, January, March, May, July, and so on. I'm not that clear-brained yet.
November.
But you're going to, from all the odd numbered months. Hello, Oliver, my friend. We are going to cut pieces that are 6 3/4 by 7 inches for all the odd numbered months. So I got January, March, May, July, September, and November. I cut 6 3/4 by 7-inch pieces. From the even numbered months, February, April, June, August, October, and December. Bryce was looking at me. Can you do this time? I did. I cut pieces that are 6 by 7 inches. The idea with the odds and evens is that you're going to match January and February back to back. You're going to take all the 6 3/4 inch pieces. You're going to get your scoring tool out. And at the bottom of each of the 6 3/4 inch pieces, you're going to score a line at 3/4 of an inch. and you're going to fold that up under. I've already pre-scored all of these, but on the 6 3/4 inch side, you're going to score at 3/4 of an inch, and you're going to fold up, making a flap. And then we're going to glue this pocket together. We are not gluing the sides of the pocket. We're just gluing the top and the bottom. So I'm going to put my glue on this flap. What did I do with my big glue bottle? How do I glue? How do I apply glitter to your heartfelt creations, flowers that you make? I just lightly is the order of the day, and you can apply it just to the petal edges. You can apply it just to the centers, or you can apply it like on the stripes of flowers.
Do you use glue or what?
Well, you can either use glue, or you can use glue with glitter, or you can use stickles. I'm inclined these days to use stickles, but you can do either one. Okay, so I have my carnations for January and my pansies for February, violas, I guess they are, glued back to back. Make sure both sides are right side up, and then just apply a thin line of glue at the top. Leave the sides open. We're going to just glue our pocket pages first, I think, here. Let's just do that first. So I have number 1 done. I'm going to go to my next one. I'm going to fold up on my score line. You could. You could use a paintbrush. Making sure that my flowers are all going the same direction. I'm putting the 2 sides of my pocket together, leaving the ends open. Then line of glue at the top is all that takes. Next, I'm going to fold this up. The best advice on stickles is keep a light hand. You can always go and add more. You never want your stickles to be globby. So my dimensions are just a little off on one side, so I'll trim that. There we go. I'm going to add a thin line of glue at the top. Let's do July and August here. There's our larkspur for July. And our poppies for August. Once again, making sure that my orientation and put the top is the top on both sides. A little line of glue at the top. If you have, I said this before, but I just want to say it again. If you have all of your prep work done in advance, the directions for this kit are very easy to follow. But you have to have all this prep work done in advance in order for them to be easy to use. So you kind of work stage by stage. Okay, making sure my same sides are up. Glue, just a tiny bit of glue at the top. Into my last 2 months. Love this poinsettia for December. I'm going to put a little bit of Scotch tape over my mending here that I did, just because I want the tape to stay in place. I could have used Scotch tape for this, but it's not what I had handy at my table. I had my finger lift tape, so I'm coming back and putting some reinforcement over the top of that. And again, you won't see that I've done it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to match my December. Looks like I have just a little bit of trimming to do here. A little, when I patched it, a little overhang there to get rid of. I've done that. And I have a little overhang here. So I'm going to turn that down. I'm going to put a tiny line of glue at the top. Now I'm going to bring all those pockets back and we're going to decorate them. Here is my packet of my decorations that I'm going to use. I have little post-it tape flags telling me what I'm putting where. Okay. In January, they want us to put the fascination here, and they actually want us to cover part of that up with this other. I don't know that I want to do that. I think I'm gonna just take some artistic liberty and kind of move my tag out to the side of my fascination label just a little, because I kind of like it with the words showing. So I'm just taking my own artistic liberties, which we can always do. I'm putting my carnation down. going to move this off and to the right just a little bit. And there's my decorated pocket page for my carnations. For February, we're using two things. We're using the Faithful tag, which is beautiful. And I'm going to put this, they're putting this fairly low over here. I think I'm going to once again take a little artistic liberty. I'm going to go a little higher because they covered up the words. And I think I want my words to show. I do love this quote, be faithful in small things because it's in them that your strength lies. That's by Mother Teresa. Boy, was she a special woman. You don't have to be Catholic to appreciate the fact that somebody was a gift to the world. And she certainly was, wasn't she? Okay, and I'm gonna put my flowers off to the left or off to the right, just a little bit of my words, because I want that Mother Teresa quote to show. This is now done. January and February pocket pages are finished. I'm going to go to March. And in March, they're using a tag. Glued down all the way. I'm going to put some fibers in this of my twine. There's my paper clip I had bent out to knock these out of there. I guess I have to bend another. Taking out the little centers of the tag so I can put my fiber through. I can't say enough, guys, about labeling your pieces and just making it easy on yourself. So when I pulled all these decorations for these, I just made myself little cheat notes. March, April, May, June. And kept them all together because it makes it so fast and easy to put this all together if you know where your pieces are. There's just a lot of pieces. If you're not keeping track of them, you'll wish you had. Oh, that's the way to do it, Diane. Go out to dinner. Craft during the day and go out to dinner at night. I like that idea. There we go. Cut these a little shorter. And I'm going to place this right about here. Just this fibers, this twine just adds a little extra texture. It would be pretty with these florals to have satin ribbon too. That would be another nice way to do this. Okay, let's go to April. And in April, we have a tag and a stamp. These little post-it flags are great, or post-it tape is great because it doesn't leave any residue. Under normal circumstance, I guess if you left it for a while, it might, but it doesn't tend to. And I'm going to put my butterfly here, my butterfly tag, and I'm going to go kind of overlapping that with my stamp here. That page is done. Next, we're up to May. And in May, we're using 3 elements. We're going to use the devotion as a bit of a pocket. And we're going to put that here. That blue looks pretty against those florals, doesn't it? And then we're going to tuck in these stamps. Now, you can leave these loose. Since I actually have 2 of them in here, and that's a narrow space, I'm going to take the initiative to actually glue those down. You don't have to. You can do what makes you happy. But I'm going to glue these tags in place. Okay, we're up to June. And in June, we have a tag. And we have this beautiful rose out of our ephemera pack. Isn't that beautiful? I'm thinking that with all the leftovers you have from this kit, you may decide you want to come back on these pocket pages and add additional elements. Go for it if you want to. You're going to have lots of leftovers. I'm going to put this rose right there on the corner of that tag. Okay, that page is done. We're up to July. And in July, we have 2. We have laughter. I'm going to put the laughter right here to the left bottom. And I'm going to put this tag, sweetness, here. Again, I don't want to cover up the words. I like the sentiment is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It says, "The world laughs in flowers." So I'm going to put my sweetness tag out a ways from there so you can still read the quote and know it's by. We're up to August. And for August, off of our element sheet, we just trim this little border with the butterfly. It's pretty. And it's not long enough to go completely side by side, but that's okay. I'm going to put down first my imagination sentiment. It says, "Nothing happens unless we first dream." Doesn't tell us who that quote's by. But I still like it, so I'm going to bring in my border below the words because that's what I want to do. You can do what you like. You can always take creative liberties. There's room for lots of creative liberties in this, just not in the cutting. Okay, let's see. We're up to September. September gets a tag and a piece of ephemera out of the ephemera pack. We're going to put our blue butterfly here. And we're going to put our ephemera. Ephemera is just a fancy word for die cuts. And put our ephemera here, the bottom of that. Look how pretty that is. Beautiful. Turn it over, and we're up to October. We're going to put our October tag on. Now you'll see one reason that I'm setting these in a little ways on mine, maybe further than the directions are, because I'm using a 2-inch punch for the next step, and they used a 1-inch punch. So mine is going to punch an inch into my pocket, where theirs only punches a 1/2 inch into their pocket. So I'm setting my designs over just a little bit because a 2-inch punch is what I have. Okay. Excuse me. And I'm going to put my joyful tag kind of overlapping that tag. That looks beautiful. Okay. And I'm up to November. November gets a butterfly going down, which is kind of fun. I'm going to move him over a little bit because of what I just described. And I also have another pretty butterfly there I don't want to ruin. So I'm going to put my butterfly here. Trim off the extra bit of border there. I'm going to put this tag here, maybe over a little bit. I have a lot going on with those butterflies all right there. So again, bit of artistic liberty. I'm coming over a little bit further than they did. That's okay. There's November. And finally, we're going to do December. And December gets a pretty good luck. Believe good things are on the way. Sentiment. I'm going to go a little higher than they did. And because I don't want my words to show. And I'm going to punch out my little holes and put some fibers here. Doesn't really matter. Just keep calling them fibers, even though I'm kind of using a twine, because you can put satin, you can put organza, you can use whatever you have available that makes you happy.
Mary asking, how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling pretty good. I still get tired easily, but I'm actually waking up the last few days. I'm waking up and actually feeling rested, which I wasn't for a long time. I put my feet over the side of the bed and wanted to just crawl back in because I was tired. And now I'm actually beginning to feel better. So I'm feeling rested when I get up. So by the time we're done here today, I'll be tired, but I will be good. Not yet, Roberta. We've been watching for it. Okay, so I got my little piece of chipboard here with its ephemera. or with its fibers in it. I'm going to go a little bit here. Okay, there's our December page. Now next we're going to work on our tags that slide into our pocket. And let's see, I think I'll just use, by the way, when you're doing this project, you're going to need what you can use. I used my crocodile or my caterpillar to cut my chipboard, but there's a couple of places where you're actually kind of scoring scoring your chipboard. You're just cutting through the top layer of paper, but you're not cutting through it. And you're going to have to use this kind of a trimmer for that, or a ruler and a blade. That's kind of what I still feel like in it. I'll tell you, COVID kicked my butt. It did. Okay, so we're going next to our tags. And what we're going to use in our tags is each month has the seed packet, and each month has these little cutouts. Okay, so I'm going to start. You have to cut these down from the size they give them to you. You actually want them to be, let me see what they say about how wide. Cut the 12 monthly flower cards and trim the lateral edges to get to a width of 4 3/4. So we have to get these down to 4 3/4. The trick is that we want to have the pattern look kind of the same on both sides. So I'm going to go to 5 1/8. I'm going to trim this first part off, and then I'm going to look and see. That's actually just about right. I'm going to cut the other side to 4 3/4, and I'm going to end up with a tag that looks pretty uniform. Okay. Okay. I'm going to cut these little rounds out.
That said, being your twin, she decided not to follow you with COVID, but she decided to do pneumonia instead.
I'm not sure that was a good decision either. How about if you kind of follow with nothing? That would be better. Okay, so we've got these little numbers, and then we've got this Flower Market tag on the back. We're going to use these to create a little pull, to pull these tags out of the side pockets. This is the only thing I didn't trim in advance. I may wished I had. Cutting all these little circles. I'm going to position this on my card so that roughly half of the circle is above and half's below the edge, right in the center. And this is going to become our pull. Now, I suppose there's any number of ways you could position these numbers. I just made them right side up to me as I look at the seed packet. Let's get our pocket page out here and look at it. Now, I was talking before about 2-inch punches versus 1-inch punches. This is what I'm talking about. They created a little thumb hole to kind of pull these tags from, which means that you need to cut a half notch from the end of your pocket page, and then your little number will stick out the side. We're going to do that same thing, the half notches. We're going to cut one from each side of our pocket. Now it calls for a 1-inch punch to do this. I didn't have any. Didn't have it in the store. I did order some. So if you want to hold on this part and get yourself a 1-inch punch, that's fine. I did have 2-inch punches, so that's what I'm using. But that's what it's going to look like. Next, we'll do our February. And that worked out really well last time, so I think I'll do the same thing. I went to 5 and an 1/8.
Hi to Karen.
Hi, Karen. And I cut my first side, and then I'm going to cut my second side at 4 3/4. And that gave me pretty even sides. I will cut out my rounds real quick here.
Would it be easier to punch your holes before you would have glued your pockets?
It might be. I just did what felt right. It might be easier to punch them before you do that. I don't know. Probably would be. Yes, you can reach us from Florida too, Karen, so don't you disappear on us when you move. Your friends are still here. I'm going to glue my little number 2. I'm going to put it half on, half off at the top. I'm going to glue my little Flower Market button here. And I'm going to glue that from the other side. And now this will go in this side of my pocket page. There. That's how my pocket pages are going to work. I'm feeling like this might not be the very best use of your time, since I'm going to repeat the process 10 more times. So I'm just going to set these aside. Where's your caterpillar down? I was using this one, Karen, because I was demonstrating that when you go to do a partial cut on chipboard, you'll either want to use a craft knife and a ruler, or you'll want to use a drop-down blade so you can cut just through the top layer of paper and kind of score it so that you can fold that. But I did use my caterpillar for all of my chipboard cutting. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside. Maybe Bryce would work on them. No? No? He says he's not going to work on them. But I can do these later, because that's probably just not the best use of your time. And we know what to do. So we next are going to work on the assembly of our A-frame. And for that, we're going to want all these wonderful pages we have organized. We are going to use our December pages, but we're going to wait a few minutes to do that, this is my decoration for my page itself. This one I have to remember what that is. I'm just going to keep all this together. Oops. Keep all this December goodies together for now. I have my these are things I'm decorating the inside with. I'm going to need my chipboard pieces that are 7.5 by 7. I'm going to need that too. Okay. I also have here some additional pieces for the assembly of my A-frame, so I'm going to set those off to the side. All right. So let's start with the assembly of our A-frame. We are going to use our pieces of chipboard. They're going to attach from the 7.5-inch side, and we are going to attach them like so. You might need to back up just a little bit to see the whole show here. There we go. That's good. I need a drink.
Is asking if you can look for a recipe stamp with a matching die.
Yeah, I'll look and see what I can find. Okay. All right. Now, they did something with a piece of fiber in the video. I don't truly understand why and what they were doing there, but I set my chipboard pieces about 1/8 of an inch apart. I like to reinforce things sometimes more than what they do from manufacturer videos. I know you brought me that strapping tape. There it is. So I chose to use a piece of strapping tape to put my sections together. I don't need it to be 2 inches wide, so I just tore it down the middle. I'm going to join my two pieces 1/8 inch apart. That still looks good. 1/8 inch apart with a piece of strapping tape. Cutting off my extra tape. And I'm going to do the same thing. You don't have to do this. Let me just tell you, you don't have to do this. So, the strapping tape part, I mean. You can just do this with your paper. I just chose to use the strapping tape. I cut this a little shorter so I don't have to trim it, maybe. Put a piece of strapping tape there. Now I've got my 1/8 inch holes between them. When you are done cutting your papers for everything else, you will notice, that you have some nice 2-inch pieces left. And I'm going to use a couple of these long strips to join these. This is the part they did do, although they spaced them with the thread in between the two. and then they took the thread out. Where's my glue bottle? What did I do with my glue bottle? There it is. I knew it had to be here. I'm going to put glue, a nice generous coating of glue over this entire strip. I'm using a whole 12-inch length, or as long a piece as you have available. You should be able to get several 12-inch strips.
Irene asked, does the short piece go in the middle?
Yes. Yes, which is not what I did. Thank you, Irene. Yes. It sure does. Which means this is in the wrong spot. Thank you, love. I would have figured that out here in about 3 minutes, but it would have been way inconvenient to deal with it then. Thank you. Good job.
Yeah, that was a test. See if you were paying attention, and you passed.
Good job. Yeah. Nicely done. Good catch. Okay. Now let's go over that. Just going to put one piece of paper over. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to put the gluey side down. Okay. And then I'm going to need a shorter piece. Didn't get that very straight, did I? Doesn't really matter. It's getting covered on both sides. Chipboard, you aren't on speaking terms, Karen. I'm going to take another piece on the other side. I'm going to glue this in place. This gets covered anyway, so it doesn't matter that I wasn't the tidiest person putting that down. I'll go ahead and put this here. I'm going to get another strip. And I'm going to get this all gluey. I'm going to put it down here. Maybe I can make it straighter. Let's see if I can. I'll flip it over here. Pull it up. Put it over here. Oh, it's better. Not perfect, but better. So just glue that whole thing here. Now, let's just glue it down and cut it off over there. I'll cut this off. Okay. what we've just done is to create our hinges. That's what these papers are supposed to be. And we're going to that's a good idea, Annette. I'm going to find my seam and I'm going to run my scoring tool right along my seam. Find my seam and run my scoring tool right along that seam. Okay, I'm going to really burnish my paper down good. Got plenty of glue under there. And now I'm going to gently fold. There we go. There we go. And because Irene straightened us out and we got back on the right track, we have our two sides meeting at the top. Okay, next we are going to cover. This is not part of the instructions. This is not part of the instructions. This is just something that Bryce said, that would look better if that was covered in the center. You could do this with cardstock. You could do this with anything. In fact, in retrospect, had I chosen to use cardstock to do this covering, I would have had more paper for tags. As it turns out, I did not have a lot of room for tags because I used some fairly big pieces of paper here covering the inside. So you could just do this with cardstock or about anything. I'm going to put in, not going to get too far onto that seam that we made there, our hinge, because it's going to make it harder to close if we get that into our hinge area there. So just trimming that up a little. And I chose to use some papers that I thought had similar colors. I didn't have a big enough piece of anything to just do the entire thing in one pattern. So I chose to use some of my 5-inch pieces that I had left. Instead of making tags out of them, I'm covering the inside of my easel. And I do realize that I'm going sideways with my flowers when these come up, but you're going to kind of be looking in from the side if you're seeing this paper at all. So it's going to look reasonably good, I think. I haven't seen it done. It was just an idea, doing it for the first time. So I had lots of these borders left. So I'm just going to take a green border and divide where those two different patterns come together to make it look intentional. Don't know that I cut myself a piece for the bottom, but we'll use a piece of something else. Okay, I'm going to come down here. Not going to get into my hinge area. Just going to come right down to the edge of that. Let me trim this off, the extra. I'm going to put this one, that has lots of purple tones in it here. And I'm going to put this piece here. Between the two patterns. Again, make it obvious I did that on purpose. Trim that little extra off. And let's see. Nope. It's not right enough. Okay, I think these are scraps. Okay. I have my table that's going to go in here when these two sides come up. There's going to be a table in there to hold the tag book. And I am going to need something to cover that bottom. Or these. Oh, these are my tags. They're not going to be long enough. Nope. Well, I didn't cut myself a piece. I just realized. I didn't cut myself a piece for this bottom. I have some white cardstock here. I'll just use that. Unless you want to grab a piece of cardstock, grab me a piece of purple right there at your shoulder. I'm just going to get me a piece of colored cardstock up there. Okay, so it wasn't quite at your shoulder.
You want a dark or a light?
Light. Okay. I'm just going to cut myself a little piece of cardstock to go in the middle here. And let's see what my dimensions are. Okay, okay, so I want this to be a little less than 5 inches by 7.5. That doesn't look straight. Why doesn't that look straight? Well, that's just weird. That is not a straight cut. Get rid of that thing. Get my other one out here. Twist this one further. That's because it wasn't anywhere near straight. I'm actually going to make that a little less than 5 inches. By 7.5 inches. Okay. And I'm going to glue this. I'm still too light. Let's go to 4 3/4. Let's go to 4 3/8. Let's just go to 4.5. 4.5 is going to be good. I just want it covered. Okay. 4.5 by 7.5 on the bottom. Again, if I had saved a piece for this, I probably would have had one less tag. As it is, I think I have 9. But that's okay, because I'm going to use them differently than they said. Okay. Then I have this table piece. And I cut a piece for this. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Now this table piece was cut to be 6 3/8 by 7.5. And then you score it on the 6 3/8 inch side using a blade and a ruler or your trimmer, and not cutting all the way through, just enough to cut the top layer of paper on the chipboard. You score it at 1 1/4 inches on either side. 1 1/4 inches on each side. Okay. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to cover it with our paper. We're going to put glue on these sides. Nice amount of glue on each side. I'm going to set it in the middle here. And we're going to glue it in place. What did I do with all my binder clips as I took them off? And I still have one there. I still have one up there. Who's in my office, honey? And see if you can find some more binder clips. I believe there are some. There should be some. Oh, there's one. Good.
You have one on that stack of paper.
Oh, I want to keep that on that stack of paper. You kind of have some outward pressure from the chipboard here. Thank you. You want to, well, the ideal to have 4, but it will do for now. I can hold it for a minute. Okay. So getting our table glued in. Oh no, in retrospect, purple might not have been my best choice for that, but it'll do. But it would have been better with a red. I could still change it if I wanted to, but I'm not sure I need to. Okay, those should be tacking good now. All right, the next thing we're going to do is decorate the back of our album and the December page. So I have the components. Let's see, what do we have here? December calendar, this. Oh, this is the back of January. Okay. That's the front of her album, actually. Okay. So we are going to we're going to begin to get our December page ready to go. I could take that off now. If it pops apart, I'll know it was premature. I'm going to glue my red border that's 7.5 inches long to the bottom of this page. It's going over that hinge piece. Now I'm going to take my December page, which has been rescued. See that? Not worried at all about that, guys. I'm going to put my December up on top. It's kind of hard to show you what I'm doing here. It's on an A-frame. December on here. Line it up our edge. That's beautiful already. Look at that. Beautiful poinsettia of paper. I have my December calendar. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to put my tag here. These are my 3 components. I'll put my tag to the side. Okay, so I'm going to put my December calendar on. So and then I'm going to put my Believe Good Things Are on the Way poinsettia tag, oops, to the bottom left, not covering up my calendar squares, like so. There's my December page, looking good. Okay, what do we got left to do here? I need to go back to January. Now we're going to need these soon. Let's see. I want to find my calendar pages. The back of January becomes the cover of our album. So we're going to do our cover next. We have cut per the instructions. We have a piece of paper that is 5 by 6. It's going to go, there's my right side up. It's going to go here. I'm going to put these two down first, though. I have 2 of my wider borders here. And when I cut this, I found that when I measured them up, they were still going to be a little bit narrow. So I brought in an extra piece of red. I got so much glue on my scissors. I need little pieces of paper. Okay, oops. There we go. All right. So I brought an extra little piece in. If this isn't big enough, but it is, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue these down. One. 2. 3. I'll go ahead and put this one down. You come up a little short on something, you don't panic. You just fill in with a scrap. Some cases, I think they really cut it close, with the paper not allowing for any human error, like the 4 3/4 plus 1 1/4 pages, and they're supposed to match up exactly. I think that it's okay to just take a coordinating piece of paper and just fill in here and there if you need to. This is going to be the front of our pretty book. Easel, calendar, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be pretty. Trimming up a little bit. That looks good from both sides. Both sides have the same up direction. That's good. Next, I'm going to take this tag and I'm going to put my purple or my blue tag right about here. I'm going to take my clock from my ephemera pack and I'm going to go about here. And I'm going to take the matching ephemera flowers. And I'm going to kind of put them across the face of the clock. There we go. We now have a cover page for our album in the back of our January. So the next thing we're going to want to do is to punch our holes to join everything together. Will you grab me a red up there, honey, please? I'm really deciding I don't like this purple in there, so I'm going to change it. Thank you. What did we say? That was like 4.5, right? 4.5, 7.5. It's actually a beautiful red, you know. Oh, I could go a little smaller. 1/4. Maybe 5. That's gonna work. You guys ever do that? You put something in there and you just think, oh, it'll do, it'll be fine. And then it just grates on you till you change it. Because we're crafters, we want everything to come together in a nice way. Reach in here then with my bone folder and smooth that down a little bit. That looks better though, doesn't it? Okay. Next, we are going to go ahead and punch the holes for our 7.5-inch pieces. We're taking this piece of chipboard that was cut to be 3 by 7.5. Then we are scoring that at 1/2 or 1 1/2 inches, so it folds in half. We put our marks for punching our holes 1/2 inch from the edge, from the open edge, 1/2 inch from the open edge, and then we're going to we're going to draw a circle or make a mark at 1 3/4 and 5 3/4 inches, and you're going to punch a guide hole right there. Okay. 1 3/4, and 5 3/4. Then we're going to take that template we've just created. I'm not sure what they put on the back of this calendar. If they did put something on the back, I don't have it here. Oh, there it is. Backside of the calendar. Well, I missed that one. I didn't cut that piece. So I'm going to cut a piece of red to go there for now. I probably have a scrap of this paper that I can go back and put later. But I missed cutting out the backside cover. Or did I just see that? Right there. So this needs to be 7.5 by 5. I'm just going to put a piece of red there for now, because I have it right here. So no, it doesn't need to be 7.5 by 5. It needs to be 7.5 by 7. Yeah, it's going to have to be 7.5 by 7 for now, till I do something else with it. I just screwed it up. I need another piece. So they do have a piece cut for the back side here, and I just omitted doing it. So I'm going to fill in for right now with cardstock. Let's try that again. 7.5. I can do this. This is not tough. By 7. Now, why isn't that fitting?
Maybe you should measure your thing first before you cut.
Maybe I should. Seven by 7.5. Did I not just cut that to 7 by 7.5? I thought it was me, but it just isn't. What's the matter with this? Oh, there it goes. I just had it on there wrong. Okay. I'm just putting this here for now, guys, because it bugs me to look at the back side. Not finished, and I omitted cutting the papers for the back side. So there is a direction number 36 for cutting the papers for the back side. I just, when I was prepping everything, I just skipped it evidently. So I'm just putting a piece of cardstock on there for right now, and I will put something prettier when I'm not taking up your time. But I need to put something on there before I punch it, because once it's assembled, it's more difficult to see. I can just leave a red border around whatever I do, and then I won't have to worry about punching it later. Okay, so we've got our template created. I'm going to reach in with my crocodile. If you don't have a crocodile, you can do this with a regular hole punch. I will tell you that it will not be easy on your hand, because it won't. But is that in the right place? I didn't even use the right punch. Okay, let's try that again. I'm getting tired. Being scatterbrained and tired. Okay. Okay, that's better. punched in perfectly. Okay, now I'm going to punch my other cover. I tried making a template for punching out of regular paper, and I have to tell you that it's way, way better to use chipboard because you can't necessarily feel when you've hit the punch line with regular paper. You can drop the head of your punch down into the hole in the chipboard, and you can get a much truer punch. But with paper, my punches ended up being all over the place. Okay, I've got holes punched. Now the same guide that I just used to punch my holes in there is going to become the piece that holds this all together. So I'm going to put glue. I'm running out of. Yeah, I am starting to get tired, but that's okay. We're almost done. And there's not too much left I can screw up, so that's good. Can't believe I forgot to cut the back cover, though. But stuff happens. You would adapt. That's going to be fine. Right now it will be red. I'm using plenty of glue on this template that we created. Plenty of glue. Now I'm going to match this up with the holes that have been punched. Perfect. Very gluey job here. I'm gonna oh, I changed that. There it is. You're going to match up to those holes. That one's a little off, so I might have to do a little surgery here. One of my first punches was a little off, and it just does not want to match up quite right. But I'm going to match it to everything else. I'm not sure I understand. I'm going to match it to everything else. And then I might have to repunch that or use my sharp scissors and make that hole better, because that's just not wanting to go in there. So let's see if I can reach that from here. I cannot. So my sharp scissors. Let's see if my detail scissors are on the table, please. Do a craft knife here too, I think. Yeah. And nope, that's a pen. It looks just like my craft knife. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to use a blade to open this hole up better. There we go. Okay, no harm, no foul. All lined up now. Okay. All right. Okay. The next thing we can do is get our rings out. Try it better side. Get our rings out of our pack. We're going to use a total of 3 of these in this project. We'll have one extra for a different project, tag album or something. And we're going to off my cardstock a little bit. I got it kind of gluey with my fingers. It really shows on that plain color. That looks better. It looks wet now, but looks not so gluey. Okay. I'm going to come through here, back through the front cover. I'm going to come through this hole. Did I not line that up very well either? Interesting that the first time around I didn't have any challenges with this, and today this is my challenge. Every crafting day is going to bring something a little different, isn't it? Okay. Need to go back through that one. There we go. So we've got our base ready to go. We are going to start threading on our pages and our page pockets. We're going to have to use our hole punch though. So let's see. I started to tell you about this earlier. Where is my... There it is. Okay. They just casually mention in the directions on the video, and I didn't notice it at all on the written directions, that you want to use an extra piece of chipboard to cut a 5x7 template for punching your holes. I tried doing this with paper, and I really do recommend using the chipboard. So we draw a line 1/2 inch down, and then bring this in 1.5 inches from each edge, so that you're marking at 1.5 and 5.5 inches on the piece of chipboard, and punch it at those locations. And then we're going to start going through with our 5x7 inch pages, and we're going to punch using this template to help us get the punches in the right places. So, oops. That was a hard hit to my glass. Glad it didn't break. So you'll use that chipboard piece will help you. If once the end of your punch drops into that chipboard, it will help you get things in the right places. So we have our cover. Let's put our cover on. Next, we're going to want our pocket page that faces January. So we're going to punch our pocket pages. Punching seems to be my nemesis today. Come on. Just keep my template straight. So I want my January pocket page to face my January calendar. So February is going to be faced up right now. These should fit perfectly onto our rings. I'll take my February calendar and punch it. Oh, use a paper clip. What a good idea. I only have 47 of them sitting here and didn't think of that. Okay. I'm going to punch my February. It really does work well with the chipboard to get a true punch. So I'm going to face February towards my February page. So March is now up. I'm going to get my March and April. It's such a simple idea to put a paper clip there and then I didn't think of it. So my daffodils will face my March page. I'll get my April. Nope. Let's see. April calendar. Don't forget your paper clip. That really does work well, that template, I just gotta say. So much better than doing it without. So my April faces my April pocket page.
Mary says your twin had your back.
Yeah, she does. Okay, I get my May and June pocket page. I don't know if everybody has a crocodile. I will tell you it's an investment you're not going to use every day, but when you need it, it is just the handiest tool. It's just the handiest tool. So I'll face May with May. That leaves my roses for June facing me, or facing you as the case may be right now. Take our June calendar. You can use this as an eyelet setter too. And had I had the right size eyelets in, which I did not right now, but had I had the right size eyelets in, I would have been tempted to put eyelets at the top of all these pages. Teddy seems to be doing okay. Bob and Teddy are both doing great. I was watching the two of them play last night, and it just warmed up my heart, I'll tell you. Bob was just laughing at that dog, and they were having a heck of a good time. Teddy was teasing Bob with his toy, and just they're a match made in heaven, truly.
Irene really likes the red.
What's that?
Likes the red back.
Oh, good. All right. So where am I now? July. Did I put something on wrong? No. Here's my July. Right? Yes. This is my July and August. Okay. You know, the beautiful thing about a crocodile is that you can use it for a lot more than paper crafts, too. This thing will actually cut through tin. Uh-oh, got that one a little off. We'll see if it goes in okay. We'll see if this goes in okay. If it doesn't, I'll repunch it. Oh, I think it's going to be okay. Oops, except this has to be August up. August facing me, which is the poppies. Okay, our August page. Can you believe we're almost done, guys? Wowzer. I have a couple more suggestions, fun suggestions. Okay. August, facing August. Okay. September. Yeah. September, October. Just about done here. September facing September. October facing out. October. And November. I know I've had you for a couple hours now. Do you have the hole puncher or the corner chomper? I have the hole puncher. October faces October. November faces out. Our last pocket page. November faces November. So that December will face December. We'll hook our clips here. So December calendars on one side, December pocket pages on the other. As we flip through the months, there's a little haywire there. I'd have to re-punch something here. This one's just not quite right. We need to punch this a little further out. That's gonna work. Why is that just being a pain? If you have to, you can add additional punches to make it lay down and behave. There we go. Okay, so we got a November calendar on one side, pocket page on the other. And it will be that way all the way through the year, October and October. So I may have to do a little extra work on my punching. But you can see how that's all coming together. So our template was really worth using. I got a little off at times, and that means I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of repair on my punching, just kind of punching a little further out or a little further in on some, because I'm getting tired and less accurate, but I'll fix it. Now, I took what was left of my paper, and remember, because I used papers to cover the inside, in retrospect, cardstock might have been better just to cover the inside with cardstock so I'd have more tags. They talked about making all of the tags, making a tag out of every month. I don't have enough months left because I did use some of my papers inside, but I'm going to use my tags a little bit differently anyway. What I've decided I'm going to do with my tags is I'm going to glue my tags, what I'm choosing to do. Now, you don't have to do this. What I'm choosing to do is to use the remaining pieces of paper that I have left. I'm going to glue them to white cardstock. And these are going to be, I'm going to punch them, put them in my, I want to do a couple of these here so you can see how this all finishes up. They were putting December backed with November, so they had like a 6-tag book when they were done. I'm going to put all of my tags against white cardstock, and I'm going to end up having, I think, 9 of them. Some of my tags are on a horizontal, some are on a vertical. I didn't care. I was just using up my leftover paper for my tags. So a couple of my tags will be on the vertical or on the horizontal. The rest will be on the vertical, which is a-okay with me. But I'm going to punch my tags and cover the backs with white cardstock. And then, since this is literally going to be my desk calendar, I'm going to put some of my project plans, projects I'm working on that are going to take, that have multiple steps that need to be done. I'm going to create little project plans from these. I'll take my last ring or my third ring. You'll still have one left over. I'm going to put all of my tags onto my ring. They have a place to lay right here in your calendar. And when I want to track a project I'm working on, I'm going to use the back of this to have my key dates and other things I need to have done. And I'm not worried about which month is which month is which month. I'm going to just use them for project tracking because, like I said, this is going to be my desk calendar. Now I have lots of beautiful pieces left that I can use to decorate these tags. I will need to have some pretties on my white side. So, I'm going to put some nice, pretty little pieces here and there, but I'm going to leave enough room. I might decorate the floral side and then just leave the white side with a minimal decoration so that I can make good use of those and make those a practical. Oh yeah, people's birthdays and addresses on the white cardstock. Yeah, that would be perfect, wouldn't it? Yeah, so I have lots and lots of pieces left for decorating my tags. I have a few other ideas on my phone I want to share with you. We're going to recap too some of our key ideas from the beginning. And now you should be able to visualize those a little better now that you've actually seen it done. But I'm going to decorate my tags. I still have all of these pieces left, and I have all of these pieces left. So I have plenty to decorate with as I'm using this calendar during the year, or as I'm finishing up my details. I may decide I want a little extra decoration here or there, and I have plenty of pieces left to do that with. Now let me share with you another idea I have. One of my ideas is that I can go ahead and use the stamps, and I can stamp these dates, and this will be a one-year calendar, and that's great. But if you want to make a perpetual calendar out of it, I'm going to take, for mine, I'm going to cut some pieces of acetate. I think this is what I'm going to do anyway. I'm actually contemplating putting a piece of acetate over the entire page and then writing on here with an expo marker. And that way I can write other names, phone numbers, doodles when I'm talking on the phone. And it all wipes off with a wet wipe. I'm going to use a expo marker, and I'm actually going to tie my expo marker that is for this calendar onto my ring so that it's always there. But I'm going to put a piece of acetate over the entire thing so that I can really use this as a living everyday calendar. Now, some pages have the calendars tucked in rather than on the full page. And for those months, I may just put the acetate right on the calendar itself, as opposed to covering the entire month with it. I was looking for one of those. There we go, June. June is one of those. So rather than putting the acetate over the entire month of June, I think I'll just put the acetate just over the calendar portion so that I can wipe off. But I like to have things on my desk I can really use, that I will be using all the time. And I can see where this would be really useful to be able to, like I said, how many times you're talking on the phone, and even in a craft store full of paper, there's times I just don't have a piece of paper handy. I can scribble on here with an expo marker, and I can wipe off anything I don't want to keep on there long term. Let's see what's one of these skinny tapes. So I'm liking that idea of having write on, wipe off calendars and calendar pages. If I find it as useful as I think I will, then I am going to tape. Tape works so well on acetate, Mary. I'm going to use a little skinny tape, and on the ones where I've done the full page, I'm going to take it back off my ring. I'm going to punch through the acetate covered calendar. But I'm just going to put a little piece of tape right here at the top. Oops, I'm working right behind a calendar. Yep, double-sided tape is right. And I just like the idea of being able to really use this calendar. So I'll put my acetate on top, and I now have a calendar that still is beautiful. It fits my space. I can grab it when I want it. I can mark things on my calendar till I can get them on my electronic calendar. And that's what I'm going to do with mine. And like I said, between having project pages to work with, where I can write important things down and track them, and having that all here in my calendar, having my expo marker actually attached to my rings so that I always have the right kind of marker available, and I'm not running my calendar with the wrong marker, and being able to not only jot on the calendar itself, but be able to jot phone numbers and other things when I'm talking on the phone. And promise somebody I'm going to do something, I can put it on there till I get it, and then just wipe it off with a baby, which are always right next to my phone, or right next to my craft area. Let me go back and let's just recap some of the most important points. Indulge me on this, guys, because there's really some important things to having this work right for you. Okay, so first and foremost, our most important point was you get 12 calendar months, and you get 2 of each page. One is for floral, the other is for your elements. Do not mix and match. You have a floral side and you have an elements side. You want to make sure that you are only using the cutout page for your cutouts and the floral side for your florals. Don't use the cutting guide that they have provided. It does not have the correct orientation for the paper. If you cut out all that stuff and you don't have it labeled, you will be in the same mess I was in last week, and you saw what happened to me. When cutting floral, make partial cuts. Don't slice all the way through at 7 from edge to edge, because that's going to leave you short on paper if you do. Cut just the piece that you need. Organize as you go and pay attention to the directions of the paper. All of the 7s and the 7.5s are the width. The rest of the measurements are height. Make sure that you have your flowers going in the right direction. It will make a huge difference. With all that said, if you mess up and you have a set of flowers going the wrong direction, you really can't tell it all that much by the time that you get all the elements on top of it. So don't beat yourself up too bad if that happens. Keep all your scraps in case you have an error. You can do what I did and you can put the paper back together and then cut it correctly. That's your other option. You can't just go through and cut out all the elements at one time because some of the elements are used as pockets. Let's go to January. Yeah. Oh, here we go in March. The 2 stamps are used as pockets, and the calendar page is cut out in a larger piece. So you can't just go through and cut all the elements. I thought about doing that, and then I thought better of it when I went through and started cutting some individual months. As you cut your elements out, clip the remnants together so you know what month the remnants are from. This will save you a ton of time. So that element page is going to get all cut up. Just paper clip them together and keep those pieces together so you can see what month it is. It's going to save you a ton of time. And what I did here was create, and you've just seen me use it, and you've seen how fast this whole project goes together if you do this. Create clipped packets for your calendar pages. Create clipped packets for your pocket pages. Create clipped packets for your the decorations for your pocket pages. Create clipped packets for December and the cover. I decided that I wanted to use some strapping tape inside the just to reinforce my seams on the A-frame. That's an optional step, but it will make it stronger. Use the spare 7-inch chipboard and create your template for your punching. That will make it so much easier. I chose to cover the inside of the easel with my cardstock or with my kit papers. In retrospect, I wish I had done it in cardstock because that would have given me more pieces available to play with other things. But if you do that, it's going to limit the number of tags and things you have. When you cut the ones that you use to make the hinges to wrap this, you can still see it on the bottom. When you cut those pieces, cut those last out of your remnants because you're going to have some nice long 2-inch pieces left. So just cut those out of the remnants. Don't cut those too early on. Look at when you're finished with everything else. Look at your remaining pieces. When you've cut every piece of cardstock you could possibly cut, and all you have is the little pieces left, go through and look at each remaining scrap to look for good pieces of scallop, wide borders, pieces, butterflies that you can cut out, and that kind of thing too. You can use those to decorate your tags. You can use those to add additional elements to your calendar and pocket pages, and you can save those for future projects. Have 1/4-inch or less ribbon or twine available for the tags and things if you want to use that just to add a little extra texture to your project. If you wanted to, Bryce wanted me to do that with this, but it would have taken an extra hour to finish the video, and I opted not to. But you could use, if you want to, you can ink all the edges of all these pieces with one of the G45 matching ink pads. I set out a brick red one, and I thought about doing that, and then I just opted in the interest of time not to ink all my pages. But it would have been fun to have all the edges inked. Keep some narrower border strips handy for covering up small cover-up jobs during assembly. You saw a couple times where we had little places that they came up 1/8 inch off. You can use those narrow border strips to cover any number of things. So just keep those handy. Thelma recommended using some thin line stickers in your page decor to add a shiny element and really make your pages pop. I think that's a great idea. It would be beautiful to have some foiled elements on here, and you can easily add that with stickers. So thin line stickers is a great idea. Make sure when you sit down to do your project, you're going to need a trimmer that is heavy enough to cut your chipboard. Either that, or you can mark it out with a pen and cut your pieces with scissors. But you're going to need a trimmer heavy enough to cut your chipboard, and then you're going to need a trimmer with a lift up blade to score that cardstock where you're just cutting through the top piece of the chipboard and you're cutting the paper, but you're not cutting it all the way through the chipboard. So you need a lift up blade to be able to do that. And the acetate sheet over your calendar pages was another of my ideas for dates, notes, doodles, a dedicated low odor expo marker so the acetate can be reused. If you decide to do that, you might decide you want to put the chipboard pieces, any of the chipboard pieces that are on the calendar pages, on top of the acetate and under it, so you have a nice smooth writing surface. It could be done either way. You could even put, if you find it helpful to have that extra writing space, you could even put acetate over your pocket pages. You could also use in those pocket pages, we have those pullouts. I don't know where my January went to now. Let's see. In our pocket pages, we have those pullouts, and we have the tags, those big tags, the seed packet tags that are part of those. Those would be also just really wonderful. These would be wonderful for note keeping too. Maybe you want to put a piece of acetate on the back of that tag, and you can use those for doodles and scribbles also and still wipe them off. So just another thought. And again, because I did use some of my cardstock in other ways, I'm opting to put white cardstock on the back of my tags so that I can use these for tracking my projects, putting down addresses, phone numbers, other things I want to keep. That's what I have for you guys. We have completely finished the easel, I think they call it the A-frame calendar today, beginning to end. We have our beautifully decorated cover on our calendar, and we have all these wonderful pages. Are there any questions, comments, or pearls of wisdom you would like to add before we get away for today? Is there anything at all you can think of that you would like to talk about, ask, a suggestion you would like to offer that I haven't come up with in my suggestions? Anything at all, guys? This is a big project, but it's a beautiful one when it's finished, and I think you will really, really enjoy using this as well as making it. Anything at all? Brittany was here yesterday just madly listing from boxes. Thank you, Annette. It's a very, very doable project. It's an absolutely doable project. Organization is key. If you've got your pieces organized, you are going to whip right through it. The directions all make sense if you have all your pieces pre-cut and labeled. If you don't do that, heaven help you, because you if you oh yeah, Thelma's recommending that you just paper piece the inside of your A-frame so that you don't have to use up your big pieces of paper. You can use the little ones, it'll still be beautiful, and you can just paper piece that in with your little extras. Okay. Well, Kim, it's all out here. If you decide to do the A-frame, you're going to want to watch it because it's useful. Thank you, Mary R. If you haven't given thumbs up yet, please do that. It makes me feel great. And it tells YouTube that this is a safe place to recommend to people. And if you're not a subscriber to our channel, hit that subscribe button. You never know what we're going to be up to, and we always have fun projects on the horizon. I know that in coming weeks, we're going to be seeing stuff from Craft Consortium. We're going to be seeing some projects from, there will be more G45 projects. There will be some projects from Hunky Dory Crafts. And so I think we are set and ready to go. And yes, Mary, it's nap time. Lunch and nap. And I think that's it for now. Margie will be here with you on Thursday for Crafting with Margie time. And I will be back next Saturday. Thank you, Thelma. Okay, that's it for tonight. I think I'm going to just say good night, Gracie.